After you've gone silent, what he's really doing is trying to make sense of what you want from him. When communication suddenly stops, it creates this huge gap of uncertainty that he feels compelled to fill. It's not just about missing the texts or calls, it's about questioning what your silence means. Is it a boundary? Is it punishment? Or is it a sign that you're moving on? He's mentally replaying past conversations, trying to decode every little detail for clues. This silence forces him to confront the reality of your absence, and that can feel unsettling. It makes him wonder if you're still invested or if his role in your life is changing. This mental puzzle he's trying to solve isn't random, it's deeply personal. When communication stops, he starts to evaluate the emotional dynamics between you two. He wants to understand if your silence is a test, a strategy, or just a natural pause. He's searching for a reason behind your behavior because human beings are wired to seek patterns and explanations, especially in relationships. Without answers, his mind fills in the blanks, sometimes creating stories that may or may not be true. The silence becomes a mirror reflecting his own insecurities and hopes about you. It's a moment where he's less focused on what you say and more on what your absence communicates. In that no-contact space, he's also assessing what you want from him emotionally. Is your silence a way to see if he cares enough to reach out? Or maybe it's a method to protect yourself, a way to regain control and avoid getting hurt. Whatever the reason, he's acutely aware that you're sending a message, even if it's unspoken. The ambiguity makes him curious and cautious. He's trying to figure out if you're expecting a chase or if you want him to step back completely. This is a confusing territory for him because he doesn't have the usual feedback of daily interactions to guide him, so he's left to interpret your silence in the best way he can. It's important to realize that his mind doesn't just stop at questioning your motives. He also questions his own actions. He's wondering if something he did caused this silence or if he failed to meet your expectations. The gap of no contact becomes a spotlight on his behavior and choices. He asks himself if he needs to change, apologize, or prove himself somehow. This self-reflection is often the first step in the testing process. He's simultaneously trying to understand you and assess his role in the breakdown of communication. This internal dialogue can be confusing, but it's crucial for how he decides to move forward. Your silence is also a test for him, whether he consciously realizes it or not. By pulling away, you're challenging him to see how much he values the connection. It forces him to confront his feelings without the usual reassurance of your presence. It's like putting a relationship under a microscope, stripped down to the bare essentials. He's watching how he responds when you're not there, whether he respects your need for space or tries to break through it. This period becomes a silent negotiation where both of you are figuring out limits and desires. Your absence gives him the chance to demonstrate patience or reveal impatience. Meanwhile, the emotional tension builds on his side because silence is uncomfortable. Humans are wired to connect and communicate, so when that stops abruptly, it triggers a sense of loss and anxiety. He feels a void that's hard to ignore, and that discomfort pushes him to test the waters. He might reach out with subtle signals or observe how you react to his presence when you do reconnect. These moments are him searching for reassurance that the relationship still holds meaning. The no-contact period doesn't just test you, it challenges him to manage his emotions in a way that might feel unfamiliar or vulnerable. He's also trying to measure the strength of your feelings through this silence. If you truly cared, would you really disappear without a word? Or is this a protective mechanism to avoid getting hurt again? He wants to know if you're committed to the relationship or if you're ready to walk away quietly. The way you handle no contact sends a strong message about your priorities and emotional resilience. He's watching to see if you maintain your boundaries or if you crumble under uncertainty. This phase reveals a lot about your inner strength and your ability to navigate emotional complexity. Lastly, your silence forces him to consider the bigger picture. What this relationship means to both of you moving forward. It's not just about missing contact in the moment. It's about understanding if there's a future worth fighting for. When communication pauses, it creates space for reflection on deeper desires and intentions. He's weighing whether the connection is strong enough to overcome obstacles or if the silence is a sign of growing distance. This moment of quiet is a crossroads where decisions are made, not with words, but with the absence of them. Your no-contact period becomes a powerful test, compelling him to confront what he truly wants without distractions. If you want me to expand on any other keynotes or move on with the script, just say the word. When he puts you to the test after no contact, what he's really doing is sizing up your confidence. Confidence isn't just about being bold or outspoken, it's about how you carry yourself when things get uncertain. He's watching closely to see if you're secure enough in yourself to stay grounded, even when the connection feels fragile. Testing you is a way for him to figure out if you can handle the emotional ups and downs without losing your sense of self. It's less about proving something to him and more about showing that you respect your own worth, no matter what happens. He wants to know if you'll stand tall or crumble under the pressure of the unknown. This is a key moment where your self-assurance really shines through. It's easy to confuse testing with games, but it's not about manipulation, it's more like a challenge. He's challenging himself and you to rise above insecurity and fear. The way you respond to these tests reveals how emotionally strong you are. Can you hold your boundaries and stay calm, or do you react out of desperation? His tests are subtle probes that give him clues about your resilience. If you panic, chase, or beg for clarity, it shows vulnerability, but not necessarily strength. On the other hand, if you remain composed and confident, it signals emotional maturity. This kind of strength is magnetic because it proves you're not dependent on his approval to feel good about yourself. When he tests you, it's also about observing how you manage your emotions internally. He's curious if you can regulate your feelings without external validation. Can you sit with discomfort without spiraling into anxiety? Are you capable of managing your own emotional state, or do you need constant reassurance? This period of silence is like a pressure test for your emotional intelligence. He's looking for someone who can navigate uncertainty with grace, who doesn't collapse under stress or rush to fix things. Emotional strength means you can be vulnerable without losing control. That balance is what he's searching for. It's a sign that you're not just reacting, but responding thoughtfully. Another layer to this testing is about your ability to maintain your independence. Confidence shows up when you don't lose yourself in the absence of communication. He wants to see if you have a fulfilling life outside of the relationship or if you're waiting around for him to decide your value. Testing you is a way to measure how rooted you are in your own world. Are you continuing to grow, pursue your goals, and enjoy your passions, or has your life stalled because of the uncertainty? Your ability to stay busy, happy, and fulfilled without him demonstrates that your confidence isn't tied to his attention. That's incredibly attractive because it means you're whole on your own. He's also assessing how you handle pressure when there's no immediate feedback. Confidence isn't just about fronting like everything is fine, it's about staying genuine under stress. When he tests you, he wants to see if you can be authentic without performing for him. Can you show up as your true self even when the connection feels shaky? This is important because a relationship built on pretending won't last. Your real confidence shines when you don't need to convince him or seek approval. Instead, you're comfortable simply being yourself and letting the chips fall where they may. This authenticity under pressure is a subtle but powerful form of confidence. In this testing phase, he's also watching if you respect yourself enough to set clear boundaries. Confidence means knowing what you will and won't tolerate and having the courage to say no when needed. When you go silent, he's curious if you use that space to protect your emotional well-being or if you break down and give in too easily. Setting boundaries isn't about shutting him out permanently. It's about honoring your needs without guilt or shame. If you can hold firm without guilt trips or emotional drama, it shows you value yourself highly. That level of self-respect is something he wants to see before he invests further. Testing after no contact is a way for him to witness how you carry yourself when things feel unstable. Confidence isn't just about how you look or what you say, it's about your energy and presence during uncertain moments. He wants to feel your strength in the silence and your steadiness in the unknown. This quiet power tells him you're not desperate or needy, but someone who trusts herself enough to wait for clarity. When you show that kind of calm assurance, it's incredibly attractive and reassuring. It proves you're not defined by the relationship, but by your own inner foundation. Finally, this testing period is a way for him to check if you can keep your confidence alive over time. Confidence isn't a one-time thing. It's sustained by your daily choices and mindset. He's watching if you can consistently respect yourself, even when he's not around to affirm you. This ongoing strength signals that you're not dependent on external validation for your worth. It's about being someone who can navigate emotional challenges with poise and dignity. When you pass this test, you show that you're someone worth investing in because you bring your own value to the table, no matter what. When he tests you after no contact, he's looking to see if you still value yourself or if you're chasing too hard. This moment reveals so much about how you perceive your own worth in the relationship. If you're willing to drop everything and immediately respond, it can show a lack of boundaries or self-respect. But if you keep your composure and hold steady, it signals that you know your value and won't settle for less than you deserve. He's trying to figure out if you're someone who believes in yourself or if your self-esteem depends on his attention. This isn't about arrogance. It's about confidence rooted in self-awareness. The way you handle this silence speaks volumes. The real test comes in how you react emotionally. Are you chasing after him, desperate for answers, or are you able to maintain your dignity? Chasing too hard can come off as neediness, and neediness often sends the message that your happiness depends entirely on him. That's a red flag because it means you might lose yourself in the process. He's watching carefully to see if you're someone who can hold your own, who can respect the space between you without falling apart. When you show restraint, it proves you value yourself enough not to beg for what should be freely given. This dynamic sets the tone for how healthy the relationship can be moving forward. It's also about how you communicate your feelings. Do you express your emotions clearly and calmly, or do you flood him with texts and calls? He's looking for emotional maturity, where you can express your needs without overwhelming the situation. If you chase him too hard, it can feel suffocating and push him away, even if he cares. On the other hand, holding space and showing patience demonstrates self-control and respect for both your feelings and his. He's testing if you can balance vulnerability with strength, which is a rare and attractive quality. This balance helps create trust and sets healthy boundaries. Another layer of this test is how you prioritize your own life. If you stop living your life and obsess over when he'll come back or respond, it shows a lack of independence. Chasing someone who's gone silent often means you're losing sight of your own goals and passions. He's watching to see if you're someone who can stay busy, fulfilled, and happy without needing constant attention from him. Valuing yourself means you don't put your entire happiness on hold, waiting for someone else. It's about having your own world and being whole on your own. When you keep thriving despite the silence, it tells him you're not someone who's easy to take for granted. He's also gauging your patience and emotional endurance. Chasing too hard often comes from impatience or insecurity, the fear that if you don't act fast, you'll lose him forever. But real self-value means you're okay with waiting for clarity without losing your sense of worth. This patience isn't passive, it's a powerful form of self-respect. He's testing if you can be steady in your confidence and not rush to fix or force the situation. The ability to hold your ground calmly, even when it's hard, makes you stand out. It shows you're someone who's not desperate, but discerning. Your actions during this period are a reflection of how much you respect yourself. When you chase, you risk lowering your standards or settling for less just to keep the connection alive. But if you resist the urge to chase, you're signaling that you have non-negotiables. This doesn't mean you're cold or indifferent. It means you have clear boundaries and won't accept being treated like an option. He's trying to see if you're someone who demands respect and expects to be treated well. That kind of self-value builds a foundation for something stronger and healthier. It's a silent message that you're not willing to compromise your dignity. The test also reveals how you handle rejection or uncertainty. If he's gone silent and you chase him, it may indicate you're not okay with being vulnerable or alone. But valuing yourself means you can face rejection or silence without losing your identity. It means you trust that your worth isn't tied to his attention or approval. He's watching if you can keep your confidence intact even when things feel unclear or difficult. That emotional resilience is magnetic because it shows you're grounded and secure. It's the kind of energy that invites respect rather than desperation. Lastly, this test uncovers whether you believe in your own value long term. Are you chasing because you fear losing him, or are you confident enough to wait and see what happens? When you hold your boundaries, stay composed and don't chase. It demonstrates that your sense of worth isn't fragile. It's steady and self-sustaining. He's watching if you're the kind of person who knows their worth, no matter what happens between you. This kind of self-respect is what turns testing moments into opportunities for growth for both of you. When he tests you after no contact, one of the main things he's trying to figure out is whether you'll respect his space while still showing interest. This is a delicate balance because he wants to feel desired but not smothered. Respecting his space means you're confident enough not to flood him with messages or demand constant updates. It shows you understand that healthy relationships require breathing room. At the same time, showing interest means you don't disappear entirely or act indifferent. He's watching to see if you can navigate this balance, if you can keep the connection alive without overstepping boundaries. Respecting his space after silence means resisting the urge to chase or over-communicate. When you bombard him with texts or calls, it can feel like pressure rather than genuine curiosity. He's sensitive to how you handle the quiet moments because those moments reveal your emotional intelligence. It's easy to mistake silence for disinterest and rush to fill it, but he wants to see if you trust the process enough to let things breathe. This patience is a sign you respect not just his time, but his emotional needs too. It proves you can hold space for him without needing to control the outcome. Showing interest, on the other hand, is about keeping the spark alive in a subtle but meaningful way. It's not about overdoing it or chasing. It's about thoughtful gestures that remind him you care. Maybe it's a well-timed message that shows you're thinking of him without demanding his attention. Or perhaps it's engaging in conversations that feel natural, not forced. This kind of interest lets him know you're present and invested, but on your terms. He's looking for someone who can express desire without desperation, who can engage without overwhelming. When he tests you, he's also checking if you can maintain your independence while still being emotionally available. Respecting his space means you're busy living your life, pursuing your passions, and not waiting around for him to make a move. Showing interest means you're open to connection but not dependent on it. He wants to see if you can be both self-sufficient and connected, which is a rare combination. This balance signals maturity and emotional stability, qualities that create a solid foundation for any relationship. He's watching to see if you can hold both poles without falling off either side. This testing phase also reveals how well you understand his boundaries and emotional rhythms. Everyone has different comfort levels when it comes to space and closeness. By observing how you respond after no contact, he gauges if you're tuned into his needs or if you prioritize your own desires. Respecting his space means you're considerate and empathetic, able to adjust your behavior to meet him where he is emotionally. Showing interest means you're engaged enough to keep things moving forward without pushing too hard. He's trying to see if you can be flexible and compassionate in this dance of closeness and distance. It's also about trust, trusting that giving space won't mean losing him. When you respect his space but remain interested, it shows you believe the connection is strong enough to survive a little distance. This kind of trust is powerful because it removes the need for control or constant reassurance. He's testing if you can hold that trust even when you're uncertain or anxious. It means you're secure enough to wait for him without trying to rush or manipulate the outcome. This ability to trust in the process sets the stage for a deeper, more resilient connection. Another aspect he's evaluating is how well you communicate during this no-contact period. Respecting space doesn't mean disappearing completely or going radio silent forever. Showing interest means you can reach out in ways that feel respectful and genuine, not needy or invasive. He's watching if you can maintain open, honest communication without overstepping his boundaries. This kind of communication requires emotional intelligence and self-awareness, qualities that he finds incredibly attractive. It shows you can be patient and present, even when things are uncertain. Finally, he's looking to see if you can keep this balance consistent over time. It's one thing to respect space and show interest briefly, but maintaining that balance long-term is where true maturity shines. He's testing if you can stay steady, calm, and engaged without swinging between extremes of desperation and coldness. When you demonstrate this kind of emotional equilibrium, it tells him you're someone worth investing in because you bring stability and respect to the relationship. It proves you understand that love isn't about constant proximity, but about honoring each other's needs in a way that strengthens the bond. When he tests you after no contact, one of the key things he's trying to figure out is whether you've been busy living your own life or stuck waiting for him. This distinction tells him a lot about your mindset and your sense of independence. If you've used the silence to grow, focus on your goals, and enjoy your passions, it signals that you have a full, vibrant life. But if you've been counting the minutes, obsessing over every missed text, and pausing your world for him, it shows vulnerability in a way that may not be attractive. He's looking for someone who can thrive whether or not he's around. Living your own life means having interests, friends, hobbies, and ambitions that don't revolve around the relationship. When he tests you, he wants to see if you're that kind of person. It's about showing him that your happiness isn't dependent on his presence or approval. Instead, you're someone who adds value to the relationship because you bring your own fulfillment to the table. This kind of energy is magnetic because it demonstrates confidence and self-worth. He notices if you can create joy and purpose on your own, which makes him want to be part of your life even more. On the flip side, being stuck waiting for him can come across as needy or desperate, even if that's not your intention. If your world stops and every thought circles back to him, it signals a lack of emotional resilience. He picks up on that quickly, and it makes him question if you can handle the ups and downs of a real relationship. No one wants to feel like the center of someone else's entire universe. It's exhausting. He's testing if you can hold your own space emotionally, even when communication pauses. This shows him that you're stable, grounded, and capable of handling the silence. He's also looking to see if you've been growing during the no-contact period or just stuck in the past. Growth means you're learning from the experience, reflecting on what you want, and making positive changes. Being stuck means you're replaying old conversations, wondering what went wrong, and losing confidence. He's attracted to someone who uses downtime as an opportunity to evolve rather than retreat. This shows maturity and strength, qualities he values deeply. Your ability to move forward independently tells him you're not just waiting for a relationship, but creating a life worth living. Another layer of this test is about emotional self-sufficiency. When he's silent, he wants to know if you can manage your feelings without needing constant reassurance from him. Living your life fully means you're emotionally responsible for yourself. You don't rely on him to fix your mood or validate your worth. He's testing if you have that inner strength to handle uncertainty without falling apart or chasing. This emotional self-sufficiency is incredibly attractive because it shows you're whole on your own. It means you're ready for a relationship that adds to your life, not completes it. He's also observing how you prioritize your time and energy during this silence. Are you investing in friendships, work, or hobbies that enrich your life? Or are you endlessly scrolling through his social media, hoping for a sign? Your focus during this period speaks volumes about your emotional health and independence. When you're busy living well, it naturally creates space for a healthy relationship to grow. He's drawn to someone who has their own rhythm and isn't dependent on him to fill every moment. This balance between connection and independence is what he's really testing. In this testing phase, he's also looking for signs of resilience and optimism. Living your own life means you're hopeful about your future, whether or not he's part of it. You're someone who can envision happiness independently, which makes you more attractive and less vulnerable to heartbreak. He wants to see if you can bounce back, stay positive, and keep your confidence intact even when communication drops off. This resilience tells him you're emotionally strong and ready to handle whatever comes next. It's a signal that you're not just surviving the silence, but thriving through it. Finally, he's testing if you can maintain this lifestyle over time, not just as a temporary fix. Living your own life consistently shows that you're committed to your growth and happiness, no matter what happens with him. It's about building a foundation that isn't shaken by silence or uncertainty. When you demonstrate this steady, independent mindset, it tells him you're a partner who brings balance and strength. It shows that you're worth his time and effort because you add value to the relationship and don't lose yourself in it. When he tests you after no contact, one major thing he's trying to uncover is whether you truly respect your own boundaries. Boundaries aren't just rules you set for others. They're a reflection of how much you value yourself. He wants to know if you can say no when something doesn't feel right, or if you bend too easily just to keep the peace. Respecting your boundaries shows strength because it means you won't compromise your well-being for someone else's convenience. He's paying close attention to whether you protect your emotional space or allow it to be invaded. This test reveals if you can maintain your dignity under pressure, which is crucial for a healthy connection. Respecting your boundaries after no contact means you don't accept mixed signals or inconsistent behavior. When someone goes silent, it's tempting to excuse the behavior or chase for clarity, but he's watching to see if you're someone who recognizes when enough is enough. He wants to see if you demand honesty and consistency rather than settling for crumbs. This is about self-respect, knowing your limits, and refusing to tolerate disrespect. If you hold firm, it tells him you have standards that won't be compromised. That kind of confidence is magnetic because it shows you won't be taken for granted. It's also about how you handle requests or demands during this testing period. Are you willing to say no, even if it risks upsetting him? Or do you say yes every time, afraid of losing the connection? He's testing if you can prioritize your needs without guilt or fear. Saying no is not about being difficult. It's about honoring your values and emotional health. When you can say no and still remain kind and composed, it demonstrates emotional maturity. It's a sign that you respect yourself enough to protect your boundaries without burning bridges. Another important aspect is how you respond to pressure or guilt tripping. Sometimes when boundaries are tested, people try to make you feel bad for standing firm. He's watching to see if you can recognize manipulation and stay grounded. Respecting your boundaries means not giving in to guilt or fear-based tactics. It means being able to say, "I'm choosing myself," even if it's uncomfortable. This shows that you're emotionally strong and not easily swayed by pressure. He wants a partner who can maintain clarity and self-respect, even when things get challenging. When he tests you, he's also checking if you can communicate your boundaries clearly and assertively. It's not enough to have boundaries if you don't express them effectively. He wants to see if you can say what you need without aggression or defensiveness. Clear communication of boundaries is attractive because it creates trust and safety. It shows you're confident in yourself and your needs, and that you respect the relationship enough to be honest. This skill also helps avoid misunderstandings and builds a foundation of mutual respect. He's observing how consistent you are with your boundaries over time. One-time firmness is good, but maintaining your standards consistently is where true strength lies. He wants to know if you'll keep honoring yourself even when he tests your limits repeatedly. Consistency shows you're reliable and serious about your own well-being. It also demonstrates that you're not easily swayed by momentary emotions or pressure. This steady commitment to your boundaries signals a partner who is balanced and self-assured. Respecting your boundaries also means valuing your time and energy. When someone goes silent, it's easy to drop everything to chase or wait around. But he's looking to see if you protect your time and don't sacrifice your own life to accommodate uncertainty. Valuing your time means you prioritize your own happiness and goals, even when communication is shaky. This shows that you're not dependent on him to fill your life or validate your worth. He finds that independence incredibly appealing because it means you bring your whole self to the relationship. Finally, this test reveals if you can maintain your boundaries without guilt or apology. Sometimes people feel selfish or unloving for protecting themselves, but he wants to see if you understand that boundaries are acts of self-care, not selfishness. When you can hold your limits firmly and kindly without apologizing for your needs, it signals emotional intelligence. It shows that you know how to love yourself and, by extension, how to love someone else healthily. This kind of boundary setting lays the groundwork for a relationship based on respect and equality.